Good morning, citizens of Attleboro. How about this weather, huh? The big man upstairs took care of me once again. Eventually that luck will run out though, right? As always this time of year, my name is Ben Quelle. I serve as the Veteran Service Officer. And on behalf of the City of Attleboro and the veterans of Attleboro, it is my pleasure to welcome you to our annual Memorial Day ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, I would ask that, if able, you please stand and remove your head covering as we honor our country with first posting of the colors and then the singing of our service songs, and then our national anthem by the Coastline Show Chorus. Commander Rio, would you please post the colors? And now for our service songs. Born June 14th, 1775, the United States Army.
Over hill, over dale, as we hit the dusty trail, and those caissons go rolling along. In and out, hear them shout, counter march and roundabout, and those caissons go rolling along. And it's high, high, he in the field artillery. Sound off your numbers loud and strong. Wherever you go, you will always know that the caissons are rolling along.
Born October 13th, 1775, the United States Navy. And born March 15th, 1938, the United States Merchant Marines.
At break of day, to our last night on shore, drink to the foam, until we meet once more. Here's wishing you a happy voyage home. Here is the Coast Guard marching song, our song we sing.
Born August 4th, 1790, the United States Coast Guard.
Surf and storm and howling gale, high shall our purpose be. Semper Paratus is our guide, our fame, our glory too. To fight, to save, or fight and die. Aye, Coast Guard, we are for you, for you. From the halls of
Born November 10th, 1775, the United States Marine Corps.
We fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines. Off we go.
Born September 18th, 1947, the United States Air Force.
Here they come, zooming to me.
And you know it, born December 20th, 2019, the United States Space Force.
Down we die, spouting our flame from under. Off with one hell of a roar. We live in fame or go down in flame. Boy, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. Hooray for the flag of the free. May it wave as our standard forever. From the dead of the land and the sea. It's the banner of the right, of the right. We'll always remember the day when our fathers with mighty endeavor proclaim as they march to the fray, that by their might and by their right it waves forever, forever, the USA.
Now join me as we officially present our colors, followed by a singing of the national anthem by the Coastline Show Chorus. Veterans in attendance, present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Color guard, post the colors. Veterans in attendance, order, arms. Thank you again, Coastline Show Chorus. Now at this time, please join all the Scouts of Attleboro as they lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Scout salute. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Scouts of Attleboro. Now, to give our invocation, I would call to the podium longtime veteran and chaplain of our VFW, Mr. Don Vandal.
Almighty God, Father of all mankind and Judge over nations, we ask you to bless this memorial service and to look down with favor and understanding upon the hearts of those who are gathered here to pay their tribute, those who have made the supreme sacrifice, and for the benefit of all free men and women everywhere. The lives of those who paid the supreme sacrifice are glorious before us. Their deeds constitute a daily inspiration for those like ourselves who remain in their home communities. In God we trust, and may the faith of our fathers guide, protect, and sustain our people. Remember, we live in the home of the free because of the brave. Amen.
Thank you, Don. Please be comfortable. Citizens of Attleboro, a reading by the American Legion. Society likes to use the word hero. There are sports heroes, action heroes. But is there any group more deserving of the title more than the 1.5 million men and women who have sacrificed their lives in defense of this nation? Even within the safety of the United States, the military is an inherently dangerous profession, comprised of professionals willing to sacrifice for us. The true heroes are not the quarterbacks who successfully execute Hail Mary passes or the baseball players who hit walk-off home runs. It isn't the Hollywood actor who looks good dodging imaginary bullets and fake explosions. It is the military veteran, the police officer, the firefighter, and others who oftentimes risk and oftentimes lose their lives protecting and defending all of us. The heroes that we honor today are not exclusive to any gender, race, or religion. They come from all economic classes and backgrounds. They hail from all 50 states, and some have migrated from other countries. They are a diverse group, wedded to the belief that America is a nation worth dying for. These heroes have earned prestigious awards and military decorations. But just like the soldiers known only to God, countless veterans have not been recognized for their bravery due to a lack of surviving witnesses who could document their final acts. They are no less heroic. We are gathered so that we can remember their sacrifices and celebrate the fact that without our history, this great country, the fact that with this great country produces such men and women of honor, we must never forget them. We should also remember the proclamation signed by a distinguished veteran in 1955. Quote, I, Dwight D. Eisenhower, President of the United States of America, do hereby proclaim Memorial Day as a day of national prayer for permanent peace. It is a prayer that every American and every decent human should not just on Veterans Day or Memorial Day, but the rest of the year as well. I want to thank you for being here. God bless you. God bless America. And please watch over all of our Gold Star families. Thank you. In celebration of the democracy which all these men and women died for, I would like to ask a few words here at the podium from our elected officials and leaders. I would now ask to the podium from our state representative, Mr. Jim Hawkins.
Thank you, Ben, for all your work to organize a wonderful event yesterday morning at Hillside and again today with the parade. This is huge, and I know that you've worked your back off to get this done, so thank you for all your efforts. I think it's important that as a community we remember the people who didn't come back and treat them with respect, and I'm so proud of Attleboro for the good showing today, the great parade, and everything that we're doing to show respect to the people who didn't come back. I can't imagine dying in a foreign country somewhere, how lonely that must be, and what an empty spot that must be for the families, for people who didn't come back. And it's a testament to veterans around. When I look at the two posts in Attleboro and the things they do in the community, the way they respect each other, the way they're lifelong friends, it's one of the wonderful things about Attleboro. And thank you, Ben, for inviting me to speak first. That's quite an honor. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. Now I want to invite to you some of the leadership here in the city. I mean, this is a wonderful parade. Yes, I organized this, but I can't do anything without the support of our city's leadership. They're the ones who pay for this parade. They're the ones who make sure that I have the support necessary to put all these pieces together so that you folks can come out here and truly honor our fallen. So with that, I'd like to call to the podium next the duly elected mayor of our fine city, the Honorable Cathleen DeSimone.
Thank you, Ben. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to our veterans, Gold Star families, and active military members, and good morning, my fellow Americans. We gather here again in this beautiful place to honor and remember those we can never forget. We gather again to honor our fallen heroes, regardless of how many years have passed, because they deserve to be remembered for giving all that they could give so we can enjoy the freedom that we have today. Before I make my comments, and don't worry, folks, I'll be relatively brief, I am really proud to stand before you and announce that when we gather here next year, we will do so in front of a new monument to honor the veterans and service members who served and are serving in the global war on terror. Creating this monument is something that I started thinking about when I was campaigning in 23, and it was one of the first things that I began when I took office. Planning and fundraising for a monument of this size is no small task, and I am extremely grateful for the work of the Global War on Terror Monument Committee, Julie Hall, Laura DeSimone, Frank Cook, Brian Donato, Scott Mercier, Neil Bowie, Walter Thibodeau, Paul Jakes, Dave Thomas, Shane Rio, and Veterans Officer Ben Quelle. I am also very thankful for the support of the Parks Commission, the Attleboro Elks, and all of those local restaurants and businesses and residents who have donated to the cause thus far. I am very thankful and grateful for the outstanding work of Senator Paul Feeney, who, along with Representatives Scanlon and Hawkins, is working at the very moment to secure $30,000 to $35,000 worth of funding for the monument, the mock-up of which is behind me, and the full scale is over there. Super excited. Ladies and gentlemen, I have participated, thank you, yes, good work. I have participated, like you, in many ceremonies and parades for Memorial Day, and each is special and meaningful in its own way. And each reminds me every year to reflect on what it means to honor and remember. It is my opinion that if these parades and ceremonies are to mean anything, the service and sacrifices, should not have crumpled these paper, of the fallen must inspire us all to be better Americans and to never take for granted the legacy of freedom that they have given us. On Memorial Day and every day, folks, we must value by our words and our actions our love of country and our respect for duty, honor, character, and integrity and courage. We must always remember that our soldiers sacrificed and died for the idea that all people are born free and created equal. We must always remember that our Constitution was founded in compromise and that our diversity is our key to greatness. While we may disagree in opinion, we know that we share many common principles as Americans. And most important, we know that voting is how we best ensure that our government works for all of us and that our elected officials act with integrity and the courage of their convictions, working not for their party, but for the people and for all of the people, by putting our common interests over self-interest. My friends, as we mark another Memorial Day, let's rededicate ourselves to being better Americans worthy of the sacrifices of the fallen. And in so honoring our past, we will secure our better future, devoting ourselves again and again to fulfilling the great promise that is America, and that for which our servicemen and women gave their all. Thank you all for being here. Have a good day, and thank you to the veterans in our presence. Thank you.
Lastly, I'd like to call a member of the legislative body of this city. Again, I remind you, I can't do this without the support and funding of our city leadership. So with that, I'd like to call a member of our municipal council, our city council member, James DiLisio.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here today. Thank you to Ben and Stacy, our veterans groups, and of course the wonderful musicians who join us every single year. I'm honored to represent the Municipal Council on this solemn day of remembrance and introspection. Today I'm joined by City Clerk Kate Jackson, City Treasurer Laura Gignac, my colleagues on the City Council, Vice President Dolan, Councilors Holmes, Waterman, Lavoie, Tavares, Sawyer, and Angelo, School Committee members, Chair Rob Geddes, Scott Domenici, Shannon Johnson, Chris Frappia, and Diane Sawyer. Also want to recognize former City Council President Frank Cook and at-large Councilor Julie Hall. My speech will be shorter than the introductions. For many people, Memorial Day is a long weekend filled with parades, cookouts, and parties. For all of us gathered here today, Memorial Day is a day of reflection and gratitude. Today, as we do each year, we acknowledge our obligation to remember those who answered the call to serve. A call to serve, protect, defend, and ultimately die for their country. Their sacrifice serves as a stark reminder of the price of our freedom. These heroes demonstrated a selflessness few will ever know, a sense of duty that is innate to few, a strength and resolve to ensure Americans can sleep well under their protective eye. But what defines these heroes is their willingness to make the ultimate sacrifice to ensure America thrives, and today we thank them. Today is a solemn day, a day to take a breath and look around at all the things that makes America the greatest country in the world. America is the greatest country in the world because of those we celebrate today. As we honor their memory, let's ensure their sacrifice was not in vain. Remember them daily. Keep their families, their friends, their brothers and sisters that serve beside them in our prayers. We need to honor them in our daily lives. And remember, they fought and gave all so we can enjoy the parades, cookouts, parties, and everything we love under the blanket of freedom. They fought and gave all so we have the opportunity to provide our children a better future than we had. They fought and gave all so we can build a city, state, and country built on mutual respect for each other. We can remember them daily in our words and our actions. In closing, to the Gold Star families, friends, veterans that served with someone who made that ultimate sacrifice, we all stand with you in respect, admiration, sadness, mourning, and pride as we remember those heroes, your loved ones. Thank you will never be enough, but for those heroes today, with a grateful heart, I say thank you. May God bless Attleboro. May God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, members of our City Council. And I know I don't want to be remiss in forgetting, I did see another elected official who actually used to be the mayor of this fine community, who is now the sheriff of Bristol County, Mr. Paul Heroux. Are you still here, Paul? Yep. Right over here, okay? Okay, folks, one of our favorite parts of the ceremony here. Let's get introduced to our Grand Marshal. All right, I don't know what to, where to begin and end with Paul. This is a man with over 25 years of wearing a uniform for our country. You can tell by the amount of stripes and chevrons that he has on his shoulder. This guy did a lot of duty for us. He was born in Sanford, Maine, went to high school in Exeter, New Hampshire. After high school, he thought maybe I'll become a man of the cloth, entered a seminary in Don Bosco. But, as war often does, it interrupted those plans, and he enlisted in the Army in 1964. He has been in too many duty stations for me to list off. Fort Dix, he went to basic training, then on to Fort Gordon, then on to Germany, and then, of course, eventually he had to get himself landed in Quai Son, Vietnam. Then when he returned home, they sent him down to Fort Devens to do burial details for all our lost KIAs coming back from Vietnam. Then he was off to Germany, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. At that point, he started running the country clubs, the NCO clubs, the officers clubs. He kind of became a man who organized the entertainment of all the bigwigs. Then he did such a good job at that, they sent him off to South Korea. So why don't you go do it over there? Did such a good job there. They said, well, come on back, because we got a need for all this knowledge you have about catering and entertaining people here at West Point, where all the cadets are, and where he spent for, I think, the next 4 or 5 years. He took all that knowledge that he learned about catering and entertaining all these big brass, that he then went in and actually did it privately. He was hired by private country clubs throughout the country, places like Iowa. He did that for 9 years. And then he returned to New England, where he ran country clubs again. He was also, when he eventually, as so many do, he migrated into Attleboro and called this his retirement home. But he didn't just retire. He went to work for Attleboro. He organized things at the Highland Park Country Club in 2006. Also, you notice that wonderful pavilion I use every year for Veterans Day. He was instrumental in getting that organized. So without further ado, because I know he's got some funny stories to tell, I want to introduce our Grand Marshal for the 2025 Memorial Day Parade, Attleboro's own Master Sergeant Paul Pouliot.
Honorable Mayor, council members, dignified guests, and my friends and my friends from Attleboro. Thank you so much. I didn't think you could put my career in a nutshell like he did after 23 years serving in the service. But I loved almost every minute of it. The almost was the 11 months, 22 days, and I think about 8 hours I was in Vietnam. But I was determined when I joined the service to get as much education I did and to train me for the outside. This is what I'd like the younger people to listen to, because education is so important. I used the military to train me for my civilian job when I retired. I started off as a communications person. Now I'm going to give my age away, but don't worry. You can probably guess it already. I was the first student in the Army School of Fort Gordon to be trained on transistors. I did so well on that they shipped me to a 5th echelon signal depot in Germany, where we repaired AM, FM single sideband receiver transmitters. I loved that job, but the promotion wasn't that far. So I went into communications, crypto custodians, etc. I was shipped to Fort Devens. Well, my first tour in Germany, I met my wife. She was a beautiful Fraulein who couldn't speak English and hated American food, especially bread. So, since she was so beautiful, don't tell anybody, but her legs were so nice. I learned German, and I brought her over on a fiancé visa. We got married in New Hampshire. And I was stationed at Fort Devens, and I was mail assigned. They didn't have any receiver transmitters for me to repair, so they put me in charge of the burial detail. So I was in charge of the burial detail for troops coming back from Nam. And I was in charge of Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and northern Massachusetts. We buried between 2 and 3 soldiers a week. After a time of that, I requested to be transferred. I couldn't take it. So I went back to Germany. And then I got shipped to Nam. After Nam, I left Nam, and I was so happy I made it. I was with the combat engineers. We opened up QL9 between Tree and Caisson. If you know that part of the country, it's the northernmost part infiltrated with Viet Cong. So I made it out of there and went to Germany, and I thought I was safe. I said, wow. I said, I'm okay now. Well, I went to class to learn how to speak in front of people because I was very nervous and used the and all that stuff while speaking. So I went to a Toastmasters club, and that happened to be in the officers club in Frankfurt, Germany. I arrived at the officers club, walked through the entranceway. I saw an attaché there. I went upstairs for the meeting, and the whole entranceway blew up. It was the Bader-Meinhof gang that blew 5th Army headquarters up, which also included the officers club there. After going through all the rubble and over and under the piles of rubble, I said, man, somebody is watching over me. I said, because the whole entranceway was gone. They had marble pillars, everything. We lost a lieutenant colonel, and I think about 12 other people were wounded. So, funny part about this was that I used my wife's car to go to the meeting. So when I got home, all I could say was, you don't believe what happened. You don't believe what happened. I had soot on my suit coat. I had glass in my suit coat. and she says, "You ruined my car." I love her to death, let me tell you. But she looked at a car and it was all in one piece. So all of a sudden on Armed Forces Network came on, but that's close where I came from. So I decided, once I left Nam, they said I would return with the combat engineers in another 16, 18 months. I said, oh no, no. So I found a different job. I went to school. The Army had a school for club managing clubs. So I went to the basic course for club management, and they put me in smaller clubs. And I did so well in those clubs that they sent me to FIU for food and beverage and catering management. And then I set my eyes on private country clubs because I knew that was where the money was at. And getting paid $42,000 a year, my first job as a civilian brought me 72, and was always up from there. So we were all happy. But again, I used the military for training and education, and that I hold dearly for what the Army has taught me. And once death cuts my thread of life, I want to thank the Lord for allowing me to declare Attleboro as my adopted home of record, because I love this city, I love the people here. You guys are great. God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you, Master Sergeant Paul Pouliot of Attleboro. So as alluded to by our mayor, soon after taking office, I have a monthly meeting with her. She called me to the carpet, as we used to say in the military, and said, hey, we do not have a monument for the global war on terror. No, ma'am, we do not. And I don't have to explain to the people here in Attleboro that this city is well known for its war monument, so this will not do. So the mayor said, I'm going to help you put together a committee of people I know, because I know people. I'm from Middleborough, I don't know anybody. She said, these are people who are involved in the community, who have done projects like this, and we are going to get this done, and we're going to get it done without using taxpayer funding. We're going to go to the people and the businesses. We're going to find a way to get this funded through just the goodwill and philanthropy of all the great people of this city, and that is where we are at, and we are getting there quick. So I just want to bring to the podium an individual who is key to this organization, just to give you an idea of where we're at with it, and hopefully by this time next year, we'll be looking at that thing for real. So with that, I would like to bring Mr. Frank Cook to the podium, if we could, please.
Thank you. Good morning. In addition to being one of the most beautiful spots in Attleboro, Capron Park is also a place of honor and remembrance. Right behind us, for example, as well as up on the hill to the right of where we're standing, there are a number of monuments and memorials to those who have served in the various wars and conflicts that our country has fought in. Also, right over here, as you know, there's the POW MIA 9/11 memorial, and across the driveway from that is another memorial in honor of Lynn Goodchild, who, as many of you know, was a resident of Attleboro who was killed in the attacks of 9/11. Today, the global war on terrorism, as has been mentioned, is America's longest war. That war, sparked by the events of 9/11, is continuing. Attleboro, as we know, and as has also been mentioned, has a history of remembering those who served, and shortly here in Capron Park, there'll be another monument arising. If you look over to the right, you may have noticed and wondered what these plywood panels are. Those are indicating and are actually at the height of what our global war on terrorism monument will be. When it's erected. But these plywood panels will be replaced by ones made of granite. As the committee was working on coming up with a fitting design, we wanted to make sure that there was not just a monument, but there was a meaning behind this monument, that there was certain symbolism. So the monument, at its maximum height, is 9 feet. which is indicative of the 9th month of the year, September. The total width at the widest part is 11 feet, indicating the 11th month of September when the attacks occurred. And the 3 panels represent the 3 sites that were attacked on that day in September. Also, each of the armed forces, the branches, will also be recognized. They'll actually be recognized on the left panel with an emblem of their particular symbols that represent their branch. In front of the monument, 10, 12 feet away, will be a granite bench made out of the same material as the monument, courtesy of and through a donation of the outriders. There will be a bench so future citizens can come and sit and contemplate the meaning of this particular monument. On the right-hand panel is the reason for the monument. It would be inscribed in it. And a key word on that part recognizes the service members of Attleboro. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure as we were working on making a monument that would be durable, that wouldn't need a lot of future maintenance, but we also wanted to make sure that anybody who served in the global war on terrorism, whether they were living here at the time they went in or they moved here afterwards, if you called Attleboro home at any time and you served in the global war on terrorism, this monument is for you. So at the conclusion of the ceremony today, I would encourage you to come back into the smaller tent here. We actually have a model of the monument. The monument is being built by Robert Schur, a very well-renowned and award-winning sculptor out of Woburn, Mass. A few years ago, he actually led the effort on the restoration of the bronze statues and the granite here of the Soldiers and Sailors Monument up on the hill here. So there's a model to scale that has been made, and there's also a sample of the granite, as well as information on some upcoming events. And it's due to the generosity, as has been mentioned, of so many people that this monument is becoming a reality. So in closing, to our veterans, not only of the global war on terror, but of all of those who served, and this is described in the monument, may we always remember their service and sacrifice in the cause of freedom. Thank you, thank you, and may God bless our country and our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. We're going to continue to work hard as a committee to get that monument into this city. We can assure you that. As we do every Memorial Day, we have to remind ourselves that we don't lose all our veterans on the field of battle. Oftentimes we lose them later in life, and every year, unfortunately, we do lose veterans. So we want to make sure that we remember them on this Memorial Day. So at this point, I'd like to call to the podium Mr. Ed Stanton, who will do a naming of all veterans that we have lost since last Memorial Day. Ed, each name will be accompanied by the ringing of a bell.
Thank you, Ben. Thank God. Good morning. Following other names: Jackie Weaver, Army. Stephen O. Hawkins, Army. William Sinek, Army. Edward Musso, Army. Hilda Beauregard, Navy. Douglas Corbett, Navy. Gordon Winslow, Air Force. Charles Cartier, Navy. Darrell Burgess, Navy. Frank G. Plant, Marine Corps. John C. Bergeron, Air Force. David Clemmy, Army. Philip Audette, Air Force. Richard Carrero, Sr., Army. Charles Farley, Army. Wallace Gordon III, Army. Robert DeRosiers, Marine Corps. Roger Dwyer, Army. James Perillo, Marine Corps. Arthur DeBlois, Jr., Army. Louis Damaris, Army. Raymond Bedard, Sr., Army. Christopher Elaine, Army. Richard Carrigan, Navy. Ray Bolton, Army. William Poole, Marine Corps. Stephen Newman, Army. Vaughn Gunrad, Air Force. Charles Falago, Jr., Army. Daniel Courtney, Jr., Army. Richard J. Alvarez, M.D., Navy. Robert Wilson, Navy. James McNary, Jr., Air Force. Roger Waite, Jr., Navy. Clifford DeTurley, Army. Paul Pahalik, Army. Carol Petrosky, RN, Army. Richard LaBelle, Navy. Armand Roy, Navy. Thomas Mercier, Navy. Richard Marsh, Army. Wayne McCormick, Army. William Foley, Sr., Army. Joseph Warshall, Army. Robert Smith, Air Force. Mark Garifano, Coast Guard. John Bergeron, Air Force. James Gillen, Marine Corps. Berthold Enetrick, Navy. Robert Irwin, Army. Charles Iwick, Navy. Kenneth Houghton, Army. Frederick O'Connell, Air National Guard and Navy. Michael Richards, Navy. John Killian, M.D., Army. Norman Busby, Jr., Army. Gilbert DaCosta, Navy. Robert Walsh, Navy. John Ventura, Air National Guard. Lawrence Habashaw, Army. Norman Pelletier, Army. David Young, Air Force. John Rogers, Jr., Army. Robert Clegg, Army. Joseph Desatel, Jr., Army. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed, for compiling that list throughout the year. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, finally, the three-volley salute is a military tradition dating back to the Revolutionary War. It is founded in the custom of ceasing hostilities to remove the dead from the battlefield. Once completed, both sides would fire 3 volleys to signal that they were ready to resume the battle. I'd now like to invite to the podium VFW Commander Shane Rio.
Thank you all for coming. I probably don't need this microphone. I'm kind of loud. I'm an old first sergeant, used to yelling at people. Today's a special day. I can't tell you how much it makes me proud to see the people come out, especially with the children. There are a lot of us that think of other things on this day, and you've heard all about, enjoy the picnics, enjoy the family. This is why people went before us and passed. I often think about the families while we'll have a cookout today. I think about the families that are at the grave sites and taking care of their loved ones' stones, hence the Garden of Stone. We're doing the firing party. We do an honor guard. I just like to read the firing party creed just so people have a little bit of an understanding of the symbolism that goes on with our firing party. This is our firing party creed. We, a party of 4 as one, to render honors unto those who have passed on, standing in distance, ready to fire, in memory of all who have served with honor. 3 volleys are fired, clearing the way for their souls to follow this day, restoring the flowers in the Garden of Stone. 3 shots in unison, farewell to our own. A final salute to those uniformed members. This lifetime of service we'll always remember. Honor guard.
Guard Commander, take charge of your detail.
March and up. March up. Ready. Lock and load. Hey. Up. Ready. Lock and load. Hey. Up. Ready. Lock and load. Hey. Up. Present. Halt.
Veterans in attention, present Holmes. Veterans in attention, order, Holmes. Thank you, Commander Rio. Before we close our ceremony with the benediction, I just want to thank again all the participating members that you may not know about. Obviously, the lovely voices of our Coastline Show Chorus who are here every year. Please give a round of applause. Thank you, ladies. She hates attention, but she's getting some today anyways because she works so hard. My partner in crime in the Veteran Service Office, Mrs. Stacy Santos, who helped put that parade together. Thank you, Stacy. And once again, all of our elected leadership, our veterans, and of course our fine citizens for coming out and making this such a special day. I would now ask that our American Legion Post 20 Chaplain, Don Vandal, to offer our closing benediction.
God, today we stop and thank you for the remarkable courage of our fallen service members, for the undeniable strength they display, for the incredible resolve to serve our country, for the underlying beauty of their ultimate sacrifice, for the unflinching devotion to our great nation, for all those who valiantly rose to the call, and for the legacy they left behind for all of us. And God, we pray for the loved ones and the heroes we lost, for the mothers and fathers, for the brothers and sisters, for the sons and daughters, for the spouses who bear the void with pride, for all friends and family with an empty space, that you will comfort those of us that remain, that we will cherish their memories and that our lives will honor their sacrifice. Lord, help us to always remember what they stood for, to never forget their names, and to carry on the legacy of the bravery from this day forward. Amen.
Thank you, Post Chaplain Vandal. Before we go, just one announcement. The American Legion Post 312 is going to be serving up hamburgers and hot dogs. Feel free to come along and enjoy on this fabulous day. But as we're having those hamburgers and hot dogs, let us not forget the 1.5 million men and women who lost their lives on the field of battle. So with that said, I would like to thank you all for attending this fabulous Memorial Day, and please enjoy as you depart some of those lovely sounds from the Coastline Show Chorus. God bless you all. Happy Memorial Day.